Welcome to the Lean Out Your Business podcast, a show dedicated to helping entrepreneurs accelerate business growth and simplify success. I'm your host, Krista Grasso, and I've been working with businesses for more than 2 decades to help them lean out and optimize what's working while eliminating anything that's not adding value. So if you are ready to get more time back in your day, more profit in your business, and to do business differently, growing and scaling on your terms, let's dive into today's episode. Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Lean Out Your Business podcast. Today, we are going to be diving into content marketing, content strategy, and everything that we need to know to lean out our content approach. I am super excited to have Abby Herman here with me. She is a fractional marketing director, a content strategist, a podcast manager, and she works with business owners who want to gain visibility for their business with personalized content strategies and implementation. She is also the host of the Content Experiment podcast, and I had the pleasure of meeting her in person at She Podcasts a couple years ago. So Abby, I'm super excited you're here. Welcome to the show.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yes. And of course, talking about leaning out anything makes me super happy. So the fact that we're talking about leaning out content, I know for so many of my clients, and I'm sure yours as well, content marketing is a really key piece of how we gain visibility, how we raise brand awareness, how we connect with our audience, how we sell what we do. But it can also take quite a bit of effort and quite a bit of time. So, are there things that you see business owners do, mistakes that you see people make that leads to content marketing and content strategy being way overcomplicated?
Yes, and I have to say, and you're right, I feel like content and marketing is like the bane of everybody's existence. And if people have team members, marketing is often the first thing to go when things start to get tight. And I know that like the market right now, things are getting a little tight for people. And I think that the biggest challenge, if you're trying to DIY it or you have somebody on your team, an employee or a team member who's working on it, is we try to be in all of the places because maybe we're connected in all the places. Maybe we are showing up to interact with people on LinkedIn and Instagram and Facebook and a Facebook group and TikTok or X, Twitter, whatever we're calling it today. I feel like people want to be in all of the places because they see other people in all of the places. And we don't have to do that. Like that is not the easiest way to lean things out, is to let some things go, because you don't have to be in all of the places. You have to be where your audience is showing up and where you like to be. And if that is not Instagram, then don't be on Instagram. It is okay. You do not have to dance on TikTok videos. Do what you are comfortable with.
Yes, one thing you will all never ever see me doing is dancing on a TikTok video. Just saying. Just saying.
I have a TikTok account. I like went in and saved my name on TikTok, but I have not posted a single thing, and I have zero plans to do that. Also,
you and me both. All right. So if everyone hearing that just breathed a giant sigh of relief and was like, oh, yes. What does more of a kind of minimum viable content strategy look like?
Yeah. So I'm going to use the word should. I know that people hate that word, but I really believe that there are some things that every business should have in terms of content and marketing. And once you have these things set up, it's really not a ton of work to keep them moving. So I think we can both agree that every business should have an email list. You need to have an email list as a way to get in front of your audience and to show up where your audience members are on a regular basis, which is in their inboxes, right? That's how we generally communicate. And in order to grow that email list, you need to have an opt-in, something to give away. I know a lot of people are moving from free opt-ins to low paid offer opt-ins. Whatever it is, have a way to get people on your email list. And then once they're on your email list, have a system, a process, a strategy for nurturing those people on a regular basis. So the first two things that I mentioned, your email list and your opt-in to get people onto your email list, once you have those set up, they kind of run themselves. As long as you are talking about your opt-ins and your freebies, as long as you're driving traffic to them, and I'll talk about like what that looks like in a minute. But as long as you're doing that, they kind of run themselves. And then you're nurturing emails, you'll want to email them. I say at a minimum every other week, have something go out so that you stay in front of your audience and nurture them. And by nurture, I mean teach them something, entertain them, have a reason for emailing. And then one of the best reasons for emailing is when you have new content, and that's like your pillar content platform, which would be a podcast, a blog, or a YouTube channel. So I know, Krista, every time you have a new podcast episode, you email your list to let them know that it's out there because you want people to go listen. The people who are on your list have already bought into you as the expert and they want to hear what you have to say. So you email your list. So I know that kind of sounded like a lot, but it's really only a couple of things. Your email list, your opt-in, which once you get those done, they're, set up and ready to go. Nurturing emails, and you can email your audience when you have new content. And like if that's all you do, that's fine. You do, and notice I did not say anything about social media. You do not have to be on social media. I know people who just have completely let go of social media altogether. And while I think that like having some sort of interaction with people and connecting with people on social media is really valuable, if it doesn't feel good to you to publish on a regular basis there, you don't really have to. Just don't make all of, if you do publish from time to time, don't make those posts always be, come buy my thing, come buy my thing. Make them be, again, valuable. And then I talked about getting the word out about your freebie, your opt-in. And to me, that is not necessarily social media, it's visibility. It's showing up in front of other people's audiences. It's, when somebody's offering a bundle, pitch yourself to be a part of that bundle, pitch yourself to be part of some of the summits that are out there. Get yourself in front of other people's audiences so that they find out about you, because people won't magically be able to find your podcast or your YouTube channel organically. It's so important to get in front of other people's audiences and let your visibility spread that way.
Yeah, those are some really, really great tips because I know for a lot of my clients, I hear all the time, do I really have to do social media? I really dislike social media. I really don't want to be on social media. And this is foreign to me. I could literally create content from the time I wake up till the time I go to bed all day, every single day of my life. I love creating content. I love social media. I am one of those very weird people to my clients because all of them are like, oh God, do I have to really write something? Do I have to post on? Why do I have to do video? And so a lot of them really want to avoid it. So I like that you outlined some of the alternate ways to approach it if for whatever reason social media does not resonate with you and you don't want that as part of your strategy. Are there any other things that you can think of that people should be considering if they don't want to leverage social media so they're still continuing to grow their brand?
Yes and no, because I'm going to lean on social media for a minute here. So I said that you don't necessarily have to post. I do recommend having accounts. I have made so many amazing connections through social media. You and I reconnected through Instagram. I think it was Instagram. It might have been LinkedIn, but being able to go in and see what other people are doing, particularly in Facebook groups, which is funny for me to say because I have been in full-time online business for almost 11 years now. And when I first went full-time, I really leaned heavily on Facebook groups. And then they started not working. They started feeling kind of sleazy. Every post was a pitch of some sort. Like people were just posting and leaving, hey, buy my thing, and then they would leave. And so it started feeling really icky. So I got away from being inside of Facebook groups, but now I feel like they're working again. I feel like if you approach it the right way, so you're not posting on your platforms, you're posting and sharing and commenting as a way to connect with other people and to build your network that way. And I think that for me, I have seen so much success for myself and for clients in that interaction, in building your network through connecting. And it's not about like, okay, I'm going to go into this Facebook group and I'm going to make a sale and, everything's going to be fine. No, I'm going to go into this Facebook group. I'm going to connect with new people. I'm going to build relationships with new people. I'm going to get to know them. Maybe we'll get on a coffee chat. I actually was in Colorado a couple of weeks ago, and I met up with two people who I met in a Facebook group. And like we met up in real life. For one of them, we went for a walk. The other one, we had coffee. And it was a great connection. Both of them were really great connections, just to know other people. I mean, that's what it's all about. Go into Facebook groups, go onto social media thinking, who can I connect with? Who can I help? Whose content resonates with me, and start connecting with them that way instead of posting.
Yeah, that's really great strategy. And as you were sharing that, I was thinking how I probably could spend more time engaging. I like being on social media. I don't always love to go into Facebook groups. I'm not a big fan of Facebook groups. I'm breathing life back into mine. I was like, okay, I know this is where my target market is. Even though I
Mhm.
want to play on Instagram all day and I'm good with LinkedIn, I'm gonna have to start using Facebook groups. But when I really practically think about how much my business has grown and where I've had the best luck with more organic growth, it has actually been through Facebook groups, even though I barely use them. But because I'm pretty well known in certain groups, because I'll periodically answer questions or I'll share a little video, or people will talk about me and say, oh, you need to ask Krista that question. Oh, it's about scaling, it's about systems. You need to ask Krista. And so I'll get tagged in things a lot. And so I'll go in
Yes.
and comment. And because of that, I've gotten a ton of referrals. I've gotten a ton of new clients, and that's with me barely interacting. So imagine if I
Yeah.
put some intention and time behind that.
I actually have sitting in front of me on my desk right now. I have this, it's a habit tracker, which if you're watching the video, you can see it. I have a habit tracker that I am keeping track of every day. So I have 30 minutes of connecting every day that I have as one of my goals. So every day I do it, I put a little X, which, just makes me all warm and fuzzy inside to be able to do that. But it's like, it's an intention. First thing in the morning, every single day, I sit down and do that. And I've only missed a couple of days so far this year, and we're about a month and a half into the year. And it's been great for reconnecting with people, for learning about new opportunities, visibility opportunities for myself, for starting to build a list of the people who I'm going to interview for my podcast and introduce to my audience, in the future. It's been really helpful. And I love putting that X there. So it's like, I have to do it so I can mark it off as one of the things I did today.
I love that in general because I am big on all things planning and organization, so that just makes me happy in general. But I do
Yes.
think when it comes to content, for anyone who struggles with content, I really
Mhm.
love that approach of giving yourself a habit or something that you're doing quite often so that it's almost fulfilling to say, "Hey, I did this," instead of it feeling like this big burden that you have to do this thing.
Yeah, and just so that I don't go into it kind of like floundering on Facebook, because I mean the scroll is real, right? Like it's really easy to just scroll through stuff or click on random things. I actually have a Google bookmark, like a list. So I intentionally go into really specific groups, into specific accounts, and then I also have two Slack groups that I go into. So I click through those. That's part of my 30 minutes a day is I click through those and scroll to find out, are there any new posts? Are there any opportunities? Are there any questions I could answer? And I really take time to do that. And a couple of the groups are not super active, but the host of the group posts a lot. So I try to make a point to comment because I mean, I have run Facebook groups before and it's always a bummer when nobody comments on your post, when nobody comments on your post. So I try to make sure I do that too.
Oh yeah. Yeah. And I've been there. Took me a long time to build up my Facebook group. Every comment was precious gold in the beginning. So
Yes.
all right. So because, content is your life and this is what you do, I'm so curious to see. We've had things changing so rapidly, and everyone always talks about algorithm this, and there's all these changes happening with email and with different platforms. And now we're supposedly not going to be able to post on Facebook anymore through third-party apps. Like things just keep changing all the time, right? And so are there any things that you see coming on the horizon that we should be considering and thinking about as we're developing our content strategy?
Yeah, I think that probably the biggest thing is more personalized content, which feels a little overwhelming when you think about it. Like, how can you possibly personalize content for all of your followers? Using AI, it's possible. Using some of the tools that are in your email platforms, you can. I know that some apps out there, so I use Hello Audio for a product that I have, and I can tell who has listened to what, and you can personalize messages to people based on what they're consuming. And I think that that's really going to be huge. And I also think by leveraging AI, I talk about ChatGPT specifically, but leveraging that to help you with your content creation. And nobody at me for saying that, but you can. There are ways to do it and still really personalize the content and let it be super valuable and part of your own thought leadership with leveraging some of the things that ChatGPT can do for you. So it's kind of a balance of let's automate and use tools to help us create the content so that we can go deeper and be more personalized with our people, with our audience members.
Yeah, that's a really interesting perspective. And I am very curious when it comes to AI because people have really strong opinions on either side of the either side of the camp. But when you think about it, where do you find AI to be really valuable? And where do you find AI to just kind of be either adding to the noise or really kind of detracting away from what we're trying to achieve with our content strategy?
Yeah, so adding to the noise would be someone who tells a tool like ChatGPT, write an article about XYZ, and that's all the information you give it, and it spits something out, and it's kind of garbage. Not kind of, a lot. Or when you ask ChatGPT to, you give it a transcript and you ask it to create show notes or a LinkedIn newsletter. I've seen this in LinkedIn quite a bit actually, and it's like, it's super frustrating where we're just feeding it stuff and it's coming out and we're copying and pasting it over to wherever we're going to publish it. That is adding to the noise because there are some really good giveaways for like you can just tell that ChatGPT has written this. You can tell. And hey, you know what? I am totally guilty of having done this myself too when I first started learning about ChatGPT and trying to use it. But there's a way to do it so that they're still your ideas. So the other part of your question was like, how do you leverage it? Well, you can use it to help you with brainstorming ideas. You can use it to help you with outlining podcast episodes, blog posts, whatever. And then you take that outline and you make it your own. You look at what the information that ChatGPT gave you, the output of it, and you make it your own. And then you can once you've made it your own, feed it back into ChatGPT and ask it to write an article or a social media post or whatever. But then again, make it your own. You have to go through and edit what you have to go in and edit. Like you just have to. So that it sounds like you, so that it is, they're still your ideas. That's so important. So I actually had a series of episodes on my own podcast in February 2024 about AI and Chat GPT. And in doing my research for one of those episodes, I came across a podcast episode on the Social Media Examiner. Robert Rose was the guest, and I'll give you a link if you want to share it. But he talked about created content and constructed content. So created content is your work from scratch. It is like what you built up, what your thought leadership, your knowledge, all of the things that you have gained from doing what you do for however long you've done it. It's all of your expertise. That is created content. Constructed content is what Chat GPT and other AI tools do. They go out and they search on the internet and they find all of these ideas and they put them together into. So it's like, going to IKEA and getting IKEA furniture and you're putting it together. It's not original. All of the pieces, all of those bookshelves are going to look exactly the same, So there's no originality to it, but you can add some originality to it when you are using some of your own thought leadership and inserting it into that article, or giving it an outline with your thought leadership and asking it to create something and then going back through and editing. You can also prompt ChatGPT to not use certain words or to write in a certain tone, things like that, which that's super helpful to build that out before you actually start asking it to do something.
Oh yeah, for sure. I have so many Kristaisms. Like most words and most advice that ChatGPT would ever give you by scouring the internet will be the exact opposite of what I would say, because I have very unique spins on absolutely everything.
Mm-hmm.
And so when I onboard new team members, it takes them a long time to learn the Kristaisms and to learn my voice and to learn my thought leadership. But
Mm-hmm.
I love ChatGPT and other AI tools. I have a few that I use pretty regularly just for ideation, for structure, for things of that nature. But I still like to write my own content. I write every one of my newsletters myself. I do
Mm-hmm.
not have it written by AI.
Yeah.
My team will sometimes use a little bit of AI for some of the social media posts, but I'm usually making them edit them because I'm like, say this out loud. Does this sound like something I would say? No, that does not sound like something I would
Yes.
say. We're not posting that.
Mm-hmm.
But it is really, really interesting. I think that the more, probably the more years you've been in business, the longer you've done things, the more you've developed your own original frameworks or your own original ideas of things, the harder it probably is going to be to use it without some of those customizations. But boy, when you can figure out the right prompts to use and you can get it to pull from your own content, what a difference it makes.
Yes, absolutely.
That's amazing. Okay, so tell us about your work. Tell us about what you do. Tell us about what's going on in your world, what's coming up. Tell us all the things.
Yeah, well, so primarily I have done one-to-one work with clients acting as their fractional marketing officer. So all the things that they don't want to do or are ready to let go of, I take that on with my team, like building out Hello Audio opt-ins for them. We create workbooks and opt-ins and help with some of the behind the scenes of workshops and webinars and all things content related. So we do a lot of podcast management for our clients also. One of the things that I did actually the first week of January, end of December, beginning of January was, so when I started my business I started in 2007. I went full-time in 2013. And I won't tell you my whole background story because it's kind of a long story, but I was coming from the teaching profession. I was a single mom coming from the teaching profession into online business with tons of debt, no clients, and I quit my job. It was like not a good idea. And I really struggled with finding affordable support to help me figure out what in the world I was doing, because I didn't know how to run a business. I was coming from nonprofit, and then I was a teacher, so I didn't know what I was doing. So one of my goals has been to be able to give back and to be able to help people who are in a similar position where they don't have another income and all of that. So at the very beginning of 2024, I opened up a digital shop to kind of help people with tools and resources. And I'm very slowly building up, but I have so much stuff from all these years. So my goal for 2024 is to add 2 products every single month. I only did 1 in January. And so I have to do 3 now in February. So that's my goal, is to keep adding products in there and offer some freebies so that people can get the help that they want with their marketing, especially if they're bootstrapping like I was.
Fantastic. Yeah, I feel like we have all been there at one point or another. I know lots of people who are cycling back. So
Yeah. Well,
business
I
is
think after post-COVID, I mean, online business seemed to like just explode in all the best ways. And then everything has just like contracted back. And, I've contracted back in my business too, um, just the market and where things are right now.
It's true. I did a recent episode with Nikki Nash, and her and I were talking about how a lot of people have taken, like, when you have a job, you have the side hustle. A lot of people have taken side jobs with their business, and a lot of
Mhm.
people are doing different things. And it is a little bit of a wild world out there, but
It
yeah,
is.
I love the focus on giving back. I love the focus on pulling all that content together. So tell
Yes.
people where they can find you online if they want to check out what you have going on.
Yeah, well, my new favorite place to be is on LinkedIn. And it's Abby M. Herman on LinkedIn. And I'm also on Instagram, The Content Experiment. And then my podcast is The Content Experiment as well.
Fantastic. All those links will be down below in the show notes. So there's a question I ask everybody, and I can't wait to hear what you have to say. So, how do you work smarter, not harder, and keep things lean in your business?
That's a really great question. So I mentioned earlier my habit tracking. So having this habit tracker in front of me all day is a really good reminder of what I think are the most important actions that I need to take on a daily basis for my business. And so I keep them in front of me. I remind myself of them every day. I have 4 of them for my business. I have some for my personal life too. But just keeping it in front of me, pencil, paper. I love tech, but I know if I get on my phone, it's all over. So I know that about myself. This is part of why I can't do TikTok, because I know how dangerous Instagram is. TikTok will be even worse for me. So yeah, so I think just really keeping in mind those most important actions and putting them top on my list. So they're things I do every single day before I start working on client work, before I get distracted with emails and all the other things. I have certain actions that I take, and that has helped me stay really streamlined and moving forward and growing this year.
I absolutely love that. And while we're on the topic of keeping things lean, any final tips for people if they want to lean out their content strategy when they look at this year?
Yes, let it go. If it doesn't, if you don't love it, let it go. Find out where your audience is. I always recommend surveying your audience. Find out where they are, what kind of content they want to consume, see if that's for you, and do that, and let go of the other stuff. It's why I started my podcast, is because people were listening to podcasts. They didn't want to read a blog. They wanted to hear a podcast. So and it's been huge for my business ever since. So let go of the things you don't want to do. It's okay.
I love that. Lean out, let go.
Yes.
And on that note, yeah, Abby, thank you so much for being here. I so appreciate you sharing your brilliance with us. I hope you all got as much value out of this episode as I did. I'll see you again next week.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks so much for tuning in to this week's episode. If you have not yet taken our scalability assessment, I invite you to head to leanoutmethod.com/assessment and take our interactive assessment that's going to help you look at how simple, how sustainable, and how scalable your business currently is. It includes personalized recommendations of where to focus next to get your time back, to increase your impact, increase your profits, and ultimately step into your rich, fulfilled life. And finally, we'd love to see you inside our signature program, Simplify to Scale. You can head to leanoutmethod.com/ops to find all of the details on how we can help you uplevel your operations and get out of the day-to-day of your business.